Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tanel, and now that I'm back from that Russian missile silo base, I'm actually gonna finally do my quick little review on the ASUS ROG STRIX RTX2080Ti. So I'm gonna run through some benchmarks, and we're gonna be running them through live on video, so I'm not gonna show any tabs with some numbers on them. We're gonna do it live, and hopefully you guys will like it, and if you do, yeah, leave some comments down below. But anyway, let's take a quick little peek, closer peek at the card, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit, well, a lot about the card, should you buy it or not, so check it out. So as you can see, the card itself looks pretty nice, and if I'm honest here, it actually looks pretty similar to the previous generation of ROG STRIX models of NVIDIA video cards. And I did have a GTX 1080 still around with me, GTX 1080 Ti, the ROG STRIX model, and I kind of compared them side by side to see what's exactly different. There were definitely some things, and the most striking thing I think was the fans, which were properly upgraded, which are called now axial deck fans, which help keep your during GPU's temperatures under control. And the main thing that they did was reduce the hub, the motor hubs, right? And also add this, outer layer for the fans to keep the fans more rigid. And this all helps with the cooling overall. Plus, they kind of upgraded the heatsink even further. So it's about 20% bigger than the GTX 1080 Ti, the previous ROG STRIX model, the previous generation. And both of these together help, get even better temperatures and even further overclocking ability. Now, it is a 2.7 slot video card, so keep that in mind if you wanna put it in a tight case or something like that. My Thermaltake View 28 RGB case here had some issues if I wanted to put the video card horizontally, so it would be a little bit better, to see through the case, right? And I couldn't fit the cover on like that, which was kind of a bummer, because I guess my case, handles 2.5 slots, but not over that. So I'm just hoping, case manufacturers take this in. So if they put options for, a horizontal version of your card, in the case, that it would have like 3 slots at least, room there. But anyway, that's, issue for, a small amount of people, I hope. Anyway, the cooling solution here is really phenomenal. And as I said, the axial fans, which pretty much means that they managed to, shrink the hub, the motor hubs, even further down, and added some, structural integrity to further, make the fans more stable and more quieter. Which is a really neat thing. I really love how ASUS over the years, year by year, just manages to upgrade something that is like world-class, best of the best. I mean, it's one of the best, if not the best, out-of-the-box retail cooling solutions for a video card. If you're, talking about air cooling here. So, I mean, absolutely stunning job on the cooling side, and I kind of see why, I'd rather buy this retail ASUS RTX 2080 Ti rather than, NVIDIA stock. So, really good job here. And some other minor thing, I guess, minor things, RG max contact technology, so it could get, even better contact with the GPU, so with the during GPU. So if you want to add some, some of your own cooling paste, or maybe even liquid metal or something like that, then this is like the perfect surface for it. And yes, something more to talk a little bit about the cooling solution is that it only turns on when your video card gets up to 55 degrees Celsius. So if your video card stays below 55 degrees, it's going to passive mode. Pretty much the fans are not gonna spin until it reaches 55 degrees Celsius, which is freaking awesome, because that means when you're, surfing the web, doing nothing really, your video card is gonna be passively cooled. It's not gonna make any noise at all. That's just absolutely incredible in my opinion. Really cool solution here. And if your case has proper ventilation, then your RTX 2080 Ti will be, quite possibly cooled enough that you can do some low gaming and the fans will still stay, totally passive, which is that's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, these are kind of the things that I wanted to cover for the RTX 2080 Ti, the ASUS ROG STRIX model. One small thing is, I guess, yep, it has RGB, it has ASUS Aura Sync. You can, sync all your ASUS products up with your video card if you wish, or do it separately. And yeah, it's nothing too much, but it is there. And here's the great part: if you hate RGB, right? Of course, you can, disable it from the software, but no, ASUS, thought a little bit more about it. So now you have a nice little button that you can press on the back side of the video card, which totally disables all the lights, which is freaking amazing. And of course, yeah, the back plate for the video card is just, oh god, absolutely stunning. Really good job. Maybe in the future, the lines that you see, the gray lines or white lines that you see covering the backplate, maybe those could be RGB as well in the future. Maybe. Anyway, enough of me talking about the card. I mean, there's not a lot more to talk about it, but let's move on to the benchmarking, and let's run through Fortnite, right? And then Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Battlefield 5, and let's take on also Grand Theft Auto 5, and let's run through some 3D marks like 3D Mark Time Spy and Firestrike. And I'm gonna be using 1440p as my resolution. I don't have a 4K screen yet. Hopefully I can get my hands on a proper ASUS 4K 144 HDR screen sometime soon, but at the moment I don't have it, and the maximum resolution that I can use is 1440p, but trust me when I say this, that's all you need, because 1440p at 144 Hz, if you can get that, and my monitor has it, and that's the best that you can get at the moment. Because yeah, you can buy 4K screens 144 Hz, which costs you an arm and a leg. Then I wanna see what games can you play at 144 frames per second on 4K, even on the RTX 2080 Ti. But anyway, let's get into the benchmarks, and yeah, then you can finally see how good the card actually is. Right, so before we begin with our benchmarking, I want to cover what PC I actually have here. So I'm running everything on the Core i5 8600K, which is at stock frequency 4.3 GHz, and yeah, our RTX 2080 Ti here. And here we can also see what our temperature is while fans are actually spinning. So I have a different fan profile going, so it would all the time, cool a little bit of the video card. And yeah, 40 degrees Celsius while idle is pretty decent temperature, going down to 36 degrees at the moment, so that's pretty good. But I have pretty nice ventilation, I guess, in my case at the moment, although I don't know if it affects that much at the moment, because my fans are just sucking air from here, which is pretty cool air. But yeah, really good temperatures for the RTX 2080 Ti. I mean, for the ROG STRIX model, it's just absolutely stunning what ASUS can do with their cooling solution. But anyway, yeah, let's head into Fortnite and see how it fares. Right, so welcome to Fortnite, and let's begin with our benchmarking here. You should see the frame rate, live frame rate on the top left corner of the screen here. I'm gonna try and zoom into this place so you could actually see the frame rate there. Yeah, coming to the settings. So these are the settings I'm running at the moment. Everything cranked up to maximum detail, epic detail, right? And I'm gonna be using 2560 x 1440p resolution to get the best frame rate possible. I'm gonna set full screen just in case, as well. And yeah, let's do a Ice Storm solo game. Let's see what the frame rate does in some certain places. Alright, so finally in the game, and I'm in the starting place here. 180, 170 frames per second. Pretty nice. Considering everything is turned up to maximum detail, and we're running 1440p resolution. Maybe check out what FPS we get if we turn all the graphical options down. So just cause we can, right? If we maybe wanna use a 240 hertz screen to see if we can actually hit 240 frames per second, but 200 frames per second here, there's nothing showing at the moment. There's huge fog here, so that might help with the frame rate, but yeah, definitely decent over 144 frames per second, so we can get the full benefit of the 144 hertz screen that we have here. Now let's leave our vision here. So we have about 190 frames per second here, right? And let's go in the options and let's turn everything to low detail. And let's put the resolution also to 2560 x 1440, and let's see what happens. I don't know if you can see it. It's almost 300 frames per second. Does it have like a 300 frame rate cap? Maybe? Nope, it doesn't. Almost 400 frames per second. What the hell? Alright, so Fortnight runs pretty smooth. It was kind of obvious, wasn't it? Okay, so definitely if you wanna game on a 240 Hz monitor, be really competitive, get a RTX 2080 Ti and a 240 Hz screen. So yeah, pretty good stuff. Anyway, next let's quickly head into Assassin's Creed Odyssey and see what frame rates we can actually get in a proper AAA game. Alright, so next up, Assassin's Creed Odyssey here, and let's head to the options menu. We can see that we are running i5-8600K here, right, and the ASUS RTX2080Ti with 417.71 drivers, and of course my monitor, the BenQ EX3203R. And yeah, we're gonna be using 2560 x 1440 resolution here. Refresh rate we can leave 60 at the moment, although it is a 144 frames per second hertz monitor. And but yeah, let's go over the graphical settings here, and let's disable anti-aliasing. Let's put everything else to the maximum graphical settings, and there we go. And yeah, let's run through the benchmark here, and maybe also let's turn down all the graphical settings to the lowest settings and see what frame rate we get then. So we have like two results to go through, right? So we can see what the maximum frame rate would be and what the average frame rate would be, with of course maximum detail and lowest detail. But anyway, let's see. So maximum quality graphics 82 frames per second, 81, 76, 73, and this is 1440p resolution, so it isn't 1080 and it isn't 4K, but 50 to 60 frames per second, it's it's pretty decent, but could have been a little bit better. I was hoping a little bit more, but it is the latest and greatest game out there pretty much in terms of graphics and the size of the world, you know. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like a pretty amazing game, and even, you know, the previous Origins was just absolutely stunning, and even better at 4K. But in 4K, yeah, still it can't really handle Assassin's Creed Odyssey that well. I have tried 4K on the RTX 2080 Ti, and yeah, not the best at the moment. But anyway, 63 frames per second, so over 60 FPS as average, which is decent. But as you can see, do you really need a 4K screen that is 144 frames per second, or even do you need a 4K screen at 60 Hz? Because I'm not so sure you're gonna hit 60 frames per second on a 4K screen at maximum detail. But of course we can always, you know, turn down the graphical settings, and that's what we're gonna do now. And let's turn everything to the lowest settings and rerun the benchmark. So 108, 107 frames per second. Well, it's getting up to that 144 frames per second, but no, it's 87 now. All right, but definitely nicely over 60 frames per second, so should be a lot better gaming experience to play, you know, at constantly over 60, constantly over 70 FPS even. So 86, pretty constantly 86 to 85 frames per second here. Well, pretty decent. So I'm guessing we're gonna see some 20 to 30 frames per second improvement, but yeah, let's see. And 77, 76, 86, 90, 95, 98, 100 frames per second, but the overall average is going to be 89, so that's almost like 30 frames per second more. And yeah, if you wanna play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that's how it performs here with a proper i5 8600K. And yeah, I guess use like medium settings. God damn, RTX 2080 Ti and you have to use medium. 60 frames per second should still be totally fine, but it could, you know, at times drop to 50, maybe 40-ish. That's what we need to, you know, understand. But yeah, 89 for the lowest settings, pretty good, I guess. At 1440p, this isn't 1080p, so I guess pretty good, Anyway, let's move on to the next test, and the next game is going to be Battlefield 5. Alright, so Battlefield 5, first of all, in the options menu, 2560 x 1440 resolution, at the moment 144 Hz here. And yeah, in the advanced settings, DirectX 12 enabled and everything cranked up to ultra detail, with anti-aliasing at low settings because I can't turn it off for whatever reason in Battlefield games. But anyway, yeah, let's check it out, how it actually performs here, what kind of frame rate we get, and we're gonna check it out in one of the campaign missions, which is this 1944 France or French campaign mission here. And let's just restart this here at medium, and yeah, just check out how the frame rate is at the very beginning part of the game here, which is graphically really nice, all sorts of stuff going on, and should give us a pretty good idea how it runs. And let's check out the ultra settings and the low settings. Alright, so 147, 128, 140 frames per second here. Oh, little bit of a dip here. 138, really decent frame rate. And quite possibly, you know, getting the full benefit of our 144 Hz screen here. So should be pretty good. Let's see, 120 frames per second. It is pretty decent, but again, could have maybe been a little bit more But then again, we're running it not on 1080p, we're using a 1440p resolution, so that's pretty decent. Let's check out here, 125 frames per second. Oops, my HDR settings are going crazy here. I'm gonna disable HDR here. Here, high dynamic range off. Alright. Alright. So, HDR off now, and 135 frames per second. I mean, almost getting that full benefit of our 144Hz screen. And on 1440p, I mean, pretty respectable frame rate, right? Let's leave it. Let's leave it here, 132, 133, and let's quickly turn everything to the lowest settings. The lowest settings, all right? So everything is low. And 187 frames per second. All right, that's pushing the 200 frame rate limit. So 200 is for whatever the maximum frame rate in this game, for whatever weird reason. But anyway, 147 frames per second here at lowest settings. Well, totally fine. But again, maybe you'd have wished same frame rate at 4K, but I don't know for some time how it will perform on my PC at 4K. Need a proper 4K screen for it, but 158 here at lowest settings, pretty decent. Let's quickly turn back to maximum detail, 155 frames per second, 158, 59. Let's put everything back to ultra settings and turn the anti-aliasing to low. Let's see, 115, 120, 115, 12, 10, 15. Yeah, pretty decent. So that's what you're gonna get from Battlefield 5 if you're gonna be purchasing the RTX 2080 Ti and you have a 1440p screen. Anyway, again, let's move on to the next quick little test, and let's quickly run through Grand Theft Auto 5's benchmark and see what the average frame rate is gonna be there when we crank everything to maximum detail. Alright, so Grand Theft Auto 5 running here, and yeah, let's head to the settings menu, and I have cranked everything to the maximum possible settings, disabled anti-aliasing, and yeah, we're gonna run it through at these settings here, and even in the advanced graphics settings, cranked everything to maximum detail here. So let's run our benchmark test and see how it fares. Alright, so should start any second now. We should see a large frame rate counter at the middle of the screen here at the bottom. And 90, 80, almost 100 frames per second. That's really freaking beautiful. And this is, yeah, on 1440p again. I wanna mention this, and yeah, decent results here. We're gonna check after the longest path has been run through. From the My Document setting folder, there's gonna be a benchmarking folder in the Grand Theft Auto 5 folder that we can open up and see what the average frame rate is. So yeah, let's just check it through here, how it fares, so you can actually compare at home with your own PC or something like that and see what the difference is. But yeah, overall, I mean, frame rate pretty decent, nothing too special though. But we are on 1440p, so might be limited by the CPU. Although my CPU is at 4.3 GHz, which is pretty decent. But anyway, the longest path now started here, and yeah, after that, after this benchmark here ends, we're gonna find out the final result. But let's check it. Overall, I guess decently over 60 frames per second on 1440p. So definitely can use some, you know, mods or something to modify the graphics even further. A lot of, you know, Grand Theft Auto modders out there have made the game look absolutely stunning, although it already looks really nice in my opinion. But it can look even better, and maybe it kinda, you know, gives us an idea, you know, what Grand Theft Auto 6 might do with this video card and this setup in general, I guess. But anyway, we should see a little bit lower frame rates now when we get into the city area, and let's see what happens. So 120, 144 frames per second. Oh, this is pretty beautiful. I'm liking what I see. Over 100 frames per second here in the car scene. Yeah, really nice frame rates, considering it is 1440p. But it's not 4K. It's not 4K. Let's not forget about that. But it's not 1080p either. So I'm gonna guess maybe we get like 75 frames per second as average frame rates. Something like that should be right? Alright. So, boom, and we should get our result. I'm guessing 75 or something like that. But let's see. It should do the desktop for a second here, so I should have time to open it up. Let's see. Let's open up the documents. Rockstar Games, GTA 5 benchmarks, and this one here. Oh, 89 frames per second. As the PS4, the longest session there. 89 frames per second, that's really good. Overall, I mean, it did dip a lot, you know, in the 60s and 50s, but still, I mean, really decent result. Now, let's next up, let's move into the 3D marks and let's run through 3D mark, Time Spy, and Firestrike for the final benchmarking results. Alright, so quickly before we launch our final benchmark here, which is 3D mark, quickly coming to the temperatures. As you can see, maximum temperatures that we received were 61 degrees Celsius only for the RTX 2080 Ti. And as you could hear, like as we did all the testing together here, you couldn't really hear like the fans crank up to like really loud noises. It was basically the same all the way through. And yeah, we can see the fan RPM as well, which is 1200 here. And maximum was 1700, so while gaming it did hit 1700, minimum 900 or something like that. But maximum was 1700 RPM at 61, so it held 61 degrees pretty much. So that's absolutely amazing what this freaking cooler from ASUS is doing. So ASUS is doing an incredible job with their cooling solution, in my opinion. But anyway, let's launch 3D mark here. And yeah, let's launch Time Spy and see what we receive as our score here. Pretty much what we're gonna see is, you know, we're gonna check out the frame rates for the GPU test, so the CPU wouldn't, you know, affect the results too much. But we are gonna be checking out the complete score as well, of course. Anyway, let's run it and hope for the best. Alright, and as I always like to do with some new video cards and new hardware that I get, I kinda, you know, check out what the initial frame rate is, and 82, 80 frames per second, 77, 76, 75. Alright, that's pretty decent. that's a pretty decent result here for the beginning shot. So that's just kinda one of the quirk things that I like to do, you know, is to check out the, you know, the frame rate at the very beginning and memorize it. So whenever I get a new hardware piece or something like that, I'm gonna run the same test and check out if my frame rate improved at the very beginning. And if I can see like 10 frames per second more or 20 frames per second more, then I know that, oh my god, this is a proper upgrade. But yeah, let's wait and see what the final result is gonna be. Alright, CPU test ending here any second now, and we should see our final result. So, fingers crossed, it's gonna be over 13,000? Maybe 12, 12,500 points or something like that. Although we don't have a 10 core plus CPU, so it should still be 12K, I guess. Let's see. And oh, only 11,000. Okay, well that's heavily, manipulated by the CPU here. That's why we're gonna, focus our vision on the graphics score, which is 13,942 points, which is totally fine for the 2080 Ti, and 89.3 frames per second for the first graphics test, and 81.1 frames per second for the second graphics test, which is pretty decent. CPU score 5200, that's because it's a i5 8500, right? But anyway, 11,100 points, score kinda low, but the frame rate's perfectly fine. So a pretty beefy result here for the RTX 2080 Ti. Anyway, let's move on to 3D Mark Firestrike as well and check what we get there. Again, let's quickly check the frame rate here in the Firestrike benchmarks beginning, and 161, 140, 160, 50 frames per second. Seems pretty decent, but yeah, let's wait until the entire test comes to an end. Alright, so the last test now ending here, and we should see the final result. So should be pretty interesting to see how it performs and what the overall score is here. So 23,148 points, that's pretty decent, and considering it is on i5 here at the moment, so overall score is even pretty good. But check out the graphics score. So graphics score is 33,527 points, with graphics test 1 165.7 frames per second, and graphics test 2 130 frames per second. So that is pretty nice, and we can see the physics score of the CPU, which was 13,695 points, with average FPS of 43.48 FPS. So that's kind of gonna conclude the benchmarking here. I hope you enjoyed the take that I did here, and yeah, if you did, leave a comment down below. But anyway, this was the benchmarking, and I mean, overall, a pretty freaking decent card. Alright, so that kind of concludes everything that I actually wanted to talk about the ASUS ROG STRIX RTX2080 Ti. It is an amazing video card, but there are a couple of issues to this day still. There are the ray tracing games, right? There's still not a lot out there. Like, we can play Battlefield 5, but the game itself wasn't that good, right? Let's be honest. But yeah, there are ray tracing games coming in the near future and in the further future. But should you buy, the RTX 2080 Ti right at this moment? That's kind of debatable, especially as it costs 1,300 euros here in East Europe, which is higher than our average paycheck. So it kind of costs a lot. But if you're, if you have no issues with money and you just want the best, then definitely this is the best video card that you can get. It's there's definitely nothing bad about it, but it's kind of expensive. And if I could, recommend you guys, then take a look at ASUS ROG STRIX RTX2080, which is almost half the price, but not half slower, right? So in my opinion, definitely a better choice is to get the RTX 2080 if you wish to get a brand new video card. And yeah, that's gonna be kind of it. What is my final verdict? Well, I'm gonna give the ASUS ROG STRIX RTX 2080 Ti a solid 9 out of 10. And the only reason I can't give it a 10 is the high price and lack of ray tracing games. But other than that, it's just absolutely stunning card, and ASUS has done an incredible job, manufacturing one of the best, if not the best, RTX 2080 Ti out there. So if you're looking for a proper RTX 2080 Ti or a RTX 2080, then ASUS ROG STRIX models are the cards do check out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my quick little review here, and if you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. So that's it from me right now. I'll see you soon in some future videos, and yeah, stay cool, have a nice 2019, ciao for now.